What's up, everybody, and welcome to the iReach podcast. I'm your host, Paul Robinson, founder and CEO of ConstructReach, a national consultancy and initiative that aims to diversify the construction, design, and innovation industries and empower a younger generation. We are here merging education, industry, and culture with a variety of featured guests that you do not want to miss. So let's go. iReach. All right, what is up, everybody? We are back for another iReach episode. Look, I hope you are enjoying this season 2. We are off to a great start. We've had some amazing guests, and we've got another one today. We've got Mr. Louis Campos with us. Louis, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Paul, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too, man. Listen, we got a lot to cover. You know, this 20 to 30 minutes goes by so fast, so I definitely want to get into it because, you know, these conversations that we have, you never know which direction it's going to go, but it's always something that's inspirational, educational, and it brings more awareness to this industry and the different career pathways that exist, how people have gotten into it. And so I'm sure yours is going to be right on par, you know, with some of the amazing stories that we've heard, and then just the education about what this industry has to offer. So, you know, let's just start with you, right? This is all about kind of your take, your perspective, and your experience. So talk to us a little bit about how you got into this industry, and then what you're currently doing now.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. So I'll be honest with you. I kind of stumbled onto the industry back in 1998. And I was working a part-time job at the time. I just finished up with high school and was just recently married. I was 19 years old and had my first child, and had a high school friend reach out to me and ask if I was interested in becoming a laborer for a framing company, a residential framing company in Southern California. My first words were, "Well, okay, what do you do? You know, what is that exactly, and how much does it pay?" So after having a brief conversation with him, I went down and filled out an application on a job site that was active, spoke with the foreman, and started working the next day as a framing laborer, which that was my introduction into the industry of residential development. And that was just a whole new spectrum. I mean, I knew about construction a little bit and things like that, but starting at that position at that time was, it was like $4 more an hour for me. So, you know, in my mind, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And, I started looking at the development as a whole that, this is a good industry, I think. And there's a lot more that encompasses just without just framing. You know, there's so many different disciplines. And as I started working every day in the industry and being a laborer, I started getting a little more goal-orientated. Was, okay, is there another position that I can move up to? What's my end goal here? I started figuring out that I wasn't just limited to just being a laborer, which is awesome. So my next goal was to figure out, okay, what can I do now? And, within just maybe a month, they had moved me up to working on seismic hardware placement and stuff like that. So in the industry back then, seismic hardware in Southern California, seismic engineering was basically had taken over, California as a whole. But I got an opportunity with the developer, who at the time was Brookfield Homes. And my same buddy from high school had come to me and asked, hey, would you be interested in working for Brookfield Homes? And so I thought, okay, well, they're a developer, so I wasn't sure exactly what they did. I'd just been in the industry for about 6 months, so I was very limited to the fact that I wasn't sure exactly what everything encompassed with being a developer on a developer's team. So I'd asked him about, what do I need to know? What do I need to, do I need to study something? And so he'd explain to me what the position was. It was what they called a finish assistant. So I got hired on with Brookfield Homes. I was 19 years old, and that actually just opened the door to our amazing industry in construction and development. received a education, in those early days there. So that's what got me into the industry. Like I said, I kind of just stumbled into it.
Yeah. And started fairly young too. I mean, 19,
Yeah.
that's a year removed from high school pretty much, and so being able to go into it that young is definitely, something that we don't see.
Yeah.
Because the industry, we're getting back to the point, and we're trying to, and I've mentioned this before, where for so long within education, it's been trying to get kids to go to that next level, and
Yeah.
going to a university to pursue a 4-year degree. And although that's fine, a lot of times going straight into the workforce wasn't
Yeah.
celebrated on par with going
Yeah.
to college, afterward. And a lot of times that's when construction was presented, and so it got this myth, it kind of got this stigma, if you will, that construction was an industry that you fail into, and so now you see education really beginning to address that with the emergence of CTE programs, career and technical education, and then they're starting to celebrate, graduating high school seniors going straight into their desired careers, versus going to a 4-year university, but they're celebrating that on par with going to a 4-year university now. And so, there's still a ways to go to kind of get over that stigma and reposture the industry. But, going into it at 19, I think definitely it puts you in a position to take advantage of a lot of the opportunities that exist, and it kind of kickstarts your career, that can take a lot of different ways, or take a lot of different routes, if you will. And so, yeah, I just wanted to pause there and kind of speak to that, because that's something that we see a lot, and something that we hear as well. Usually you kind of, with people entering into the construction industry, you may not have, the 19-year-old pursuing it, but you'll have, someone that tries to come and pursue it maybe after their first decade of being an adult. So around 28 or 29, so you kind of miss an entire like decade of talent, pursuing the industry because of education and then what's been promoted and what's celebrated. And so now we're starting to try to address that. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, you touched on some really hot topics, actually, especially for myself, where I didn't see college as a viable option for myself, only because I was a young father and husband. And, speaking in going into the construction development industry, I consider that more of the life education in the industry for myself. So I just really, really engulfed myself into understanding, blueprints, structural engineering, any type of education that different foremans would offer to me as a very young person in the industry. So, when you think of that little puppy dog that's right next to your side, and it's just looking up at you for those snacks and wanting you to pet them, that's how I was with a lot of the foremen on our sites, lead man, like, can you teach me this? What does this mean? What does that mean? And in turn, they could have just told me, well, you're with the developer, you should know these things. And yeah, they were absolutely right. But I had some amazing people on my site, and they definitely extended an olive branch, if you will, and taught me on site, in real time, and took their own time out of their day to say, yeah, let's take a look at this. This is what this means. This is what that means. This is what you should be looking for. This is how it should look. So I was definitely blessed in those times, receiving my education in real time on job sites. But I was hungry, and I still am in my career, and that's never stopped. It's always been there since the first time I was offered a position in this industry. It's been an amazing industry. It's been an amazing ride. You're probably well aware, it's like a roller coaster, comes up and down, and that 2008 was a really downside for all of us, and coming back from that has been a blessing, and I think I've taken full advantage of what's been offered out there. I've taken a lot of different classes, getting certified in the different aspects of our industry, whether it's in safety, stormwater compliance. So anything that's been out there, I've taken advantage of that. I've learned it and educated myself more so that I can be an all-around educator myself.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so you mentioned the certifications, Lewis, and just for kind of educational purposes, we're trying to raise more awareness and to understand from maybe someone who is younger in their career, how does the constant pursuit of maybe certifications or other learning opportunities put me in position to maybe grow in my career and take on other opportunities that maybe would have not come as easily if I didn't pursue them. So talk to us a little bit about how the pursuit of those certificates have aided in just the trajectory of your career.
That's a great question. So what I can talk about is when I first got into the industry as more of a managerial role, I was hired on as an assistant superintendent at 20 years old, and that's really young. Normally, probably want to have about 5 years experience and so forth. And I was able to meet with the vice president of that company, walk him on a job site, and he decided, I'm going to take a chance on this guy because we're going to do everything we can do as a company to educate him, and for the most part, I'll be honest, it paid off. Again, I was promoted to superintendent within 5 years with that company. But speaking in the educational formats that it offered is, normally with companies, they'll want you to obtain an OSHA 10 certificate, which basically gives you the general rundown of construction safety. And that's available through OSHA. That's available through multiple third-party companies. And normally, if you do work for a company, it's usually free and readily available online or in person. Now, it used to be back when I first started, it was in person. It wasn't available online. So I definitely always took advantage of those opportunities. And when the BMP, stormwater compliance, when that really started taking form, I got really interested in that because I knew that was going to be another aspect of our industry that's going to play a key component in being successful, not only as just an individual, but as a component and a cog within either your company or just the industry itself. So that was offered with companies. Normally, the company you work for will have a training session with a third-party company, and they'll run down your specific, let's say, state or jurisdiction requirements that need to be met within your developments and so forth. And I kind of went a step further with my OSHA certifications and also my stormwater certifications. I pursued that on my own, and so I went through third party with my OSHA cert. I'm OSHA 30 certified, and there's some other specific certificates that I obtained because I wanted to learn more about specific safety, and it's offered for somebody that would want to really understand as to the dangers of trench safety, scaffolding, and not just kind of look in the book and say, okay, this is it. Well, there's always a why to, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And why should it be done this way? Why should things be done this way? So I really wanted to delve into that to understand more as to how these processes work and keep people safe. And same thing with stormwater compliance. I'm certified as a inspector in California and throughout the United States, and specifically now in Tennessee. And I don't do that, to be honest, but it's just one of those aspects for myself that I feel I bring more to my team and to the industry in understanding that aspect of our industry. So it's one of those things where I can look at a picture as a whole and look at a development now on several different levels. But it's amazing now with technology, with the internet, what's available to you that you don't have to find anymore. You know, I don't know if you remember this, but you don't have to look in the yellow book. You don't have to dial 411. You know, so I mean, that's how
Yeah, the
far
good
back
old
I
yellow
go.
pages. Yes.
So it's amazing, you know, and you can take advantage of that. And speaking of, you know, we talked about going to school and college, and there's a lot of different programs I know in different universities that offer, you know, project management and things of that nature. And but I was definitely one of the fortunate ones that was given a lot of instruction and was able to take advantage of that and in turn do the same when I was asked to be able to mentor several industry, I would call them leaders now in their respects, but you know, so that meant a lot to me, to be able to help people that wanted help, people that were looking for help, and that really means the world to me, especially you know, being able to really follow somebody through their career and just be a little tiny part of what their career and watching them grow, watching them flourish. That is huge. That is something that I don't know how to explain that feeling, but it's amazing to see that. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing. You know, you've had such a, you know, an accomplished career. You started at 19. You know, you've seen a lot, probably seen it all. Or within construction, I know there's always something new to see because things are constantly evolving and changing, which makes it cool. But what's been I'm gonna hit it on both ends of the spectrum, right? So what's been your biggest challenge, and also what's been your proudest moment? So I always like to end it on the good note. So let's start with the biggest challenge first.
You know, that's a great question.
Yeah.
You know what my biggest challenge is during my first years in the industry, that was honestly my biggest challenge, was getting to understand the ebb and flow of construction and development, and also understanding where do I fit in, you know, what's my role. And because normally with the position I was in starting, people like that had the experience of maybe being a plumber, a framer, a framing foreman, you know, maybe in flooring, stuff like that. And so they had a general idea of how construction worked. I was brand new. So, you know, I knew that foundations went first, obviously, and, you know, things like that come after. But so that was the biggest challenge for me, to really understand how construction worked, you know, what were steps A through Z, and between A through Z, what was steps 1 through 100, and then what were your sub steps, you know. So that was a big challenge for myself, and I felt that it's honestly my responsibility, my duty to understand that, to ask the questions, and be able to not just sit there like a fly on the wall and just say, oh, this is getting done, that's getting done. Okay, why and how? You know, what are the next steps? What comes after drywall? What comes after, you know, insulation? What comes after painting? And how do we get there? You know, so that to me was my biggest challenge, was probably during those first couple of years, because I had to learn how to read blueprints. I had to learn structural engineering. Not that I'm a structural engineer, but more of how does this play into what we're doing in development? How do I read structural blueprints? What does this mean? What does the detail mean? You know, what does this detail mean in this area? And what's an alternate detail? Like, how do I apply this? So that was the most challenging part of the industry for me. I did have a lot of challenging developments that were amazing to work through, but that was the most challenging for me. And you know, to answer your second question there, what's been my proudest moment? I'll be honest with you, I think it's probably a little corny, but when I was offered the assistant superintendent position with, and I don't know if I'm sure I could say their name, Richmond American Homes, at 20 years old, that was probably the proudest moment because I knew it was, and I could really gauge the future, that there's going to be amazing opportunities in this industry. And for somebody like myself, where I grew up, I didn't have a college education. I was young. I was married. I already had my second child at that time. So that was my proudest moment. And so again, again, I'm smiling because I'm here now. I'm at where I'm at now, and I'm basking in this amazing opportunity, and definitely feel blessed to be able to be where I'm at. But that for sure was my proudest moment.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's absolutely a proud moment, man. Being 20 years old, having that position, having two children, it's and then seeing the promise of the opportunities that could come, within this industry, you were able to build a career and family, and I think when you're transitioning from adolescence to young adulthood, I think that's definitely something that, we like to promote and bring visibility to. Hey, what can allow you to move into young adulthood, in a way that sets you up for success, and a big part of that is having a career, and having something where there's mobility, having upward mobility, being able to grow, and then being able to allow that to dovetail into new opportunities. And so I think this industry does offer that in a very unique way that maybe some other industries don't. One of the things that I say that's unique about this industry, and you can let me know your thoughts as well, is that it's one of the few kind of careers that you can have where you see the fruits of your labor like at the end of every day. Especially if you're out there on the site, the job is always further along at the end of the day than when you came onto it at the beginning of the day, and so you actually get a chance to see, what your efforts are going toward and what it's contributing to. And not to say that other jobs are not as meaningful and important, because we've got a ton of other meaningful jobs that are out there, but I think that that's very unique because sometimes you can dedicate a lot of effort and attention and time and invest in something, and you struggle mentally with wondering whether or not all of those efforts are counting, and so construction is unique in that way.
It is, Paul. And I agree with you on that. And it is. It's one of the most unique industries to be able to see the fruits of your labor and on a daily basis. And some of us that have built like model homes in a restricted amount of time, it's on an hourly basis. And so you're right. It's unique in that sense. And I have a saying. I say focus on the effort. Because if you get focused on other things, you really feel like you're not accomplishing anything. But when you focus on your effort, you are always accomplishing something. So I agree with you on that. Every day, ever since I've started in this industry, has not been the same. Every day has been different. There's been different challenges every day, different opportunities every day, definitely different learning experiences daily. And there's been successes, daily successes. So yeah, it is an interesting industry where you actually see the fruits of your labor. It's I don't know if you've seen that meme going around where it says tradesmen telling their kids when they pass a project, I built that.
Yeah.
That's totally me,
Yeah.
100%. Even to this day, my kids are adults now, and I do have grandchildren, but I think my kids could
Yeah.
probably tell you that every time we pass a project, I built that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah. Look, we have a national initiative. It's become our flagship kind of community engagement event, and it's called "I Built
yeah,
This," right? And so,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah, oh yeah.
Yep. No, that is cool. That is cool. So listen, I mean, this has been an amazing conversation, Lewis. I got one question that I want to ask you. We have our CRC. That's what we call it. That's our Construct Reach community, and within there, you can, sometimes we pose questions to the community just to kind of hear their thoughts because we have other industry professionals in there or what have you. You can download it, in your app store for Apple or for Android. But essentially, the question that we have that's going this month is, and I want to hear your thoughts about it. The question is, what is something that you have accomplished that when you were younger you didn't think was possible?
That's a great question. I would say when I was younger, since I started as young as I did in the industry, I I really set goals for myself, career-wise, and there was a goal that I set, actually a few of them, and I've achieved those goals. And there was one goal was to become a director of operations, and I have achieved that goal. So I didn't think it was possible, to be honest with you, back when I was younger, when I did set the goal, only because I felt at the time I'm not educated enough. I'm not gonna have enough experience. I felt that it's just those positions were only for those people out of college that hold those positions. Well, that's not gonna be me. Yeah, I didn't go to school, but I did set that goal, and having to work in the industry, go through the industry, and take advantage of the opportunities that I was given, and to be here today, I'd say that was it, was achieving that goal.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I'm sure. I mean, your career journey, just where you started and where you are now. I mean, you're a true testament to the vast opportunities that present itself within this industry. And I mean, we got a chance to speak about this a little bit earlier before we started, but just where the industry is going. I'm sure there's just some exciting things on the horizon with the integration of even more technology. And I think with a younger demographic only knowing technology, right? I think it's kind of cool to be able to correlate, maybe something that is of interest to them that they hadn't necessarily correlated to the industry of construction. And so, I see that being a good opportunity to engage a younger demographic going forward, because we need that younger demographic for the sustainability. And there's a lot of demand that's out there. There's a lot of development. There's a lot of cool projects and things, and I'm sure you've been able to be a part of. And so, yeah, the technology, man, is making things a little bit more exciting too. So.
Yeah, Paul, it really is, and from when I started, there wasn't as much technology available, so we were kind of living in a 2D world where reading blueprints and sketching. We did a lot of sketching back then. Yeah. But now with the programs that are available, like satellite imaging, LiDAR, GIS mapping, even your 3D programs to help you model, let's say, a building, including like your MEPs inside that building. I mean, you can model a building from the ground up now, and before you even make any attempt to process it for a budget. I mean, it's amazing to see that, like, you're actually seeing this building in 3D scale, and that's exactly how you would want it to live, and also the the infrastructure of the building. So seeing that, from when I started to now, it's just like, whoa. We are definitely in a Jetsons cartoon. That's an old reference, so you might have to look that up. Yes. But what I find interesting too is it's all available, and you can learn it. And for the younger generation that have that knack and ability to understand that, there's a lot of different positions that they can provide. And if they would like to pursue that career, it's there for them. We work with a lot of drone operators, and I know that's really big too. And it's like playing a video game. A lot of this to me is like playing a video game, but it serves a purpose. It serves a need in this industry, and I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. We're going to get more refined, and so. And not only that, there's labor that's needed out there. We still need people to build. We still need people to become tradesmen and craftsmen and become industry professionals. And that's totally awesome too, to be able to do something with your hands, and to be able to become a foreman, become a leadman, and that's a big need right now in our industry, is trying to facilitate the labor force, and getting that interest, and to me that was a really interesting side of it as well, being able to work with your hands. And being able to build things with your hands. That was a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that our younger generation sees that too, that it is a lot of fun, and having that skill is definitely vital and important in our industry as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you, Lewis, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I'm sure folks were able to take a lot of things away from what we've been able to talk about. Just kind of the things that you shared about your career, your journey, proudest moments, your proactiveness, the different opportunities and understandings that you've learned along the way with the certifications, and then just with the trend and where construction is going. And so thank you. I appreciate you being on, man.
Absolutely, Paul. I appreciate you having me on. This was awesome, very informative, and I appreciate what you guys do over there. And I'm definitely supportive of what you do, and looking forward to everything that you guys are putting out. Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning into our show. Remember, like, share, subscribe to the podcast, and join the movement as we reach to build a better future that we can all be proud of.